Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this 2020 iPhone SE model A2275. Alright, so first thing we're going to need is a pentalobe 0.8 or a P2 screwdriver. We're going to remove the two screws from the bottom. Okay, and we're also going to need a thin pry tool and a Phillips PH or JIS 0 screwdriver. Alright, so let's remove these two screws. You want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths, and if you mix them up you can actually cause some damage to the device. Alright, this goes for pretty much every device you work on. Alright, and then we're also going to need a heater, some kind of heat source like a hair dryer, just to help the adhesive loosen up. Alright, so plug that in real quick. Alright, so once you get those two screws out, we're going to go ahead and get the thin pry tool. Okay, I just used this, and we're going to go ahead and get in between. Let me see if I can zoom in to make this easier to see. So we're going to get in between the plastic edge and the metal edge here. Okay, not in the glass, just the plastic and the metal frame. Okay, so once you get in there, you can kind of pop it up. You don't want to pry too far underneath, just slightly. Okay, and then just go slightly around here, just like this. Once you get to the side, you actually will hit the frame. There's a metal frame there, and that will prevent you from getting too far into the device. So let me zoom out a tiny bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but when I separated it, the crack kind of spread. So yeah, all right, we're gonna go ahead and continue going along the edge here. And you're going to want to be careful opening this because the connectors are along the side. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way around. Okay, once you get around, you can kind of use the tool. If you have a flat, like wider tool, you can use that to help twist and pop this cover up, just like that. Right, and we're going to go around the top. Same thing. The top is a little more tough, so kind of can't really pry all of this out. You're just going to go all around, and then that will just help a little bit. Alright, so once we get that, we're going to have to slowly lift this up. Okay, there we go, and here you can see the cable connector here. Alright, so you don't want to yank this too far or you can rip that out. Alright, so we're just going to slowly pull this up, and then you can go ahead and try and like cut the adhesive here a little bit more. Okay, just like that. And then as you can see, I'm pulling the screen downwards, right, towards the bottom of the phone. And then while you're doing that, you can go ahead and cut the adhesive some more. All right, and once you pull the screen far down enough, then you can actually flip the thing open like a book, just like this. All right, we are going to take out all this adhesive if we can. You want to take out as much as you can. Alright, so all this adhesive going down the side of the phone here. You want to peel all this stuff up. Alright, sometimes it helps to rub the other adhesive onto it to get it pulled out. Alright, just like that. Okay, keep going. Alright, and if the phone was water resistant before, just know that after you peel this out, it's not going to be water resistant anymore. Okay, so yeah, you don't want to drop the phone in the water. Okay, so we're going to throw that junk away. Alright, now we're going to remove the battery connector. So we're going to have to remove the screws down here, and these are using a PH0. Alright, so we're going to switch to a PH or JIS 0 screwdriver, and we're going to remove these. Okay, again, you want to keep the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. If you mix them up, you can risk damaging the device. Okay, got one out. There we go. So we got all 4 screws out. Now we're going to lift this metal plate up. Okay, and we're going to take that out, set that aside, place it next to the screws. All right, so the only thing we need to disconnect in here is the battery connector, which is this small one here. Or actually, we also need to remove these screen connectors here. Okay, so let me zoom in and make this easier to see. You don't want to let the screen fall completely over, so you want to keep holding on to it. Okay, so we got that. All right, so we're gonna pop out these connectors here, but we want to do the battery first. Okay, so get your fingernail or a plastic tool in there and then just pop this connector up. Okay, just like this. There we go. So now we got the battery disconnected. Once you disconnect the battery, you want to press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds just to drain any power so that there's less risk of damaging anything. If you do happen to cross some metal connectors or anything, you don't want to end up shorting out the phone. Okay. All right, once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the screen connectors. So there's two connectors under here. Same thing, I'm just going to use my fingernail again. You can use a plastic pry tool. Okay, just go wherever you can get underneath it and pop it up just like that. Same thing with the one under here. Get underneath and just pop it up. All right, there we go. Now we're going to remove the connectors up here. All right, these are also using the PH or JS 0 screws. There's 3 of them, so let's remove those 3 screws. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, it fell down there. How'd that happen? Huh, that screw doesn't want to come out. All right, I'm gonna have to use tweezers for that. Let's go ahead and get the other screw up here. Why are all these screws like just falling out so easily? That's so weird. There we go. I'm gonna have to, let me try magnetizing my screwdriver a little bit better. Can I get that screw out? Nope, it's stuck in there. All right, let's get the third screw, the last one here. Okay. Yeah, none of these screws are sticking. I don't know if Apple did something to demagnetize to make those screws not magnetic, but you really don't want to stay on the screwdriver. Okay, I'm going to use tweezers for this then. So I'll take the tweezers and we'll just grab these screws out. Okay, grab the last screw out. Go. All right, once you get all 3 of those screws out, we're going to take this metal plate out. Okay, just lift it up, set that aside. All right, then we got the connector there. We're going to pop that out. Just get underneath again with your plastic pry tool or fingernail. Okay, just like this. Okay, this one can be a little tricky to pop up. There we go. All right, now we got all those connectors out. We can go ahead and separate the screen from the rest of the phone. Okay, I'm gonna try and get all this adhesive out. Okay, sorry, my hand's just in the way. But we're just peeling up this adhesive. It unsticks as you stretch it, so you kind of want to go slowly and stretch all the adhesive to slowly peel it up. And there we go. All right. Then you want to check the frame, make sure there's no adhesive stuck there, because if you leave some big lump of adhesive, then it will put pressure on the phone. It looks like liquid was actually in this phone before. This part got like stained here somehow. Okay, so maybe liquid got in through the speaker or something. All right, we're gonna set that aside. Now we need to separate the components from the screen to transfer over to the new one. So the new screen comes like this. All right, so here you can see we're gonna peel off all this stuff. Let me zoom out. All right, so we're gonna, oops, I can put this back up there. So this piece is supposed to be up here. Let's see here, it goes up there, just like this. Okay, I don't know why it came out. Go. Make sure the speaker mesh lines up properly. Okay, looks good. All right, so first we're gonna peel off this red one. You want to peel this sticker piece off, but I'm going to hold this down in place while I peel it up. Okay. You don't want to push down too hard on here because you don't want to damage the screen. Just slowly peel it up. There we go. Once it clears the cables, you can go ahead and peel up this whole red piece here. Okay, we can toss that. All right, so we'll set that down like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove, I guess we can remove this first because this is also using PH or JIS screws. So let's remove the the 5 screws up here. Okay, we're going to leave, or this one we can transfer over to the other one. So let's actually transfer that first. So let's take this screw. Okay. And then we'll transfer it over to this new screen onto this spot here. Alright, so let's continue removing the other 4 that are holding this bracket in place, or actually 5. Alright, second screw here. Alright, third screw here. Fourth screw. And the 5th screw. Alright, so now we got all these screws out. We can lift this metal bracket up. Right, set that aside for now. Okay, so now you can lift the camera sensor up. You want to be careful not to touch the lens, okay? Just lift the camera sensor up, and then we can take the speaker out. So this is the earpiece speaker. Alright, and then to remove all these sensors, we're going to have to use a little heat. So I got a heater here. I just turned it on. I don't think I'll be able to show it because then I'm going to end up knocking all the screws over. But I have a heater right here. I'm going to let this heat it up. Okay, I guess I can move it a little closer, but I have to be careful because this foam pad is wobbly. So I'll let this warm up. And then I like to use a small needle to pull these connectors and everything out. So let this warm up. Okay, it takes a while to warm up. You want to check it every so often, make sure this isn't going to burn your hand, because if it gets too hot you can actually damage the sensors. Okay. If you don't have a heater or something, you can actually even just leave this in the sun, and if you have a black colored screen, it'll absorb enough heat that it'll make it easy enough to peel it out. Okay, so it's pretty warm now. So let's see here, we're going to go ahead and try and peel out these pieces. So usually I try and lift these sensors out first. So I just get the needle in under the top here, and then I'll try and like lift these up. As you can see, it's kind of stuck. So we're going to have to be careful here. Alright, going to get underneath. There's the sensor there. Try and lift the edges. It's not coming out. I might have to add more heat. It is moving, so it should be coming up. Okay, here we go. So we got that one sensor out of the slot there. And we're going to have to get this one out as well. Okay, get the corners, lift the corners out. And there we go. Alright, so now that we got all these sensors out, we're going to heat it some more and we're going to get underneath the speaker connector points. Alright, so I'm going to heat this up a little bit more. Okay, it's pretty hot. I'm going to turn that off for now. And we're going to go ahead and try and get underneath here. So I like to start on the side here, furthest over. Right? And just get the needle under there and slowly lift it. Whatever works for you, but this is what I find works best for me. Right? And just get the needle under there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we got all of that lifted up. All right, it looks like there's a part on this side also held down with adhesive. So we're gonna go ahead and go underneath here. Okay, so I'm pulling this back slightly, and then I'm gonna get my needle under there and try and peel this up. So this is actually the microphone here that I'm peeling up right now. So we're gonna peel that up. Might have to add more heat, it's kind of stuck. It's coming out. Here we go. Okay. Slowly keep peeling this up. Hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. And there we go. So now we got all of this out. You want to be careful not to yank it out. Just go slowly. There might be parts that are still stuck. There we go. All right, so we got this whole speaker sensor assembly out. If you want, you can peel off all these adhesive pieces because the replacement has adhesive on it. So if you want, you can peel these out, but you can just leave them. It shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so got that. Usually I like to peel the microphone one off though. So this one here, just because sometimes if you kind of scratched it up, then it might cover the actual microphone hole. So I'm gonna try and get this adhesive off if we can. I don't know, it doesn't seem to want to come out, so I might end up just leaving it. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'm going out of view. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to come out, so I think I might end up just leaving this. It's being a pain. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there we go. We got the adhesive out. And on here, you can actually see the hole where the microphone is, right in there. Okay. Okay, we'll set that aside. Actually, yeah, we'll set that aside for now. And then let's go ahead and remove the fingerprint sensor at the bottom here. This will have to use a tri-wing. This is a Y000, all right? So we're gonna remove all of these screws. So usually what I do is I get my finger underneath the home button here, and then I'll remove this screw first, okay? So that way it's not putting all the pressure down into the button. Okay, we'll take that screw out, set that aside, and then we'll go ahead and remove the other three. All right, does this have those rubber things on it? Nope, it doesn't. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and remove the other three screws here. Okay. 2. And last screw, 3. Alright, again, you want to keep all these screws in order because they are different size, shapes, and lengths. If you mix them up, you can actually damage your device. Alright, now we can take this metal plate off, set that aside. Okay, and then let's actually remove all the screws on the side here as well. So there's 3 on each side. They're also using the tri-wing or Y000. Alright, again, keep them in order. Hopefully I'm actually getting everything recorded. Okay. Alright, we'll remove the 3 on this side as well. Alright, so we got all 3 of those out. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove this metal plate. Okay, So just lift this up wherever you can, just like that. There is an adhesive holding this down here, so you will have to kind of hold this down and then slightly peel this up. You can actually add heat as well to make this easier to do. All right. I'll heat this up a little as well. I have to be a little bit careful because I don't want to heat up the fingerprint sensor down there too much. So just warm it a little bit, and I'll probably actually use my thin pry tool to get underneath. Since this screen's broken, then it's okay if I accidentally damage the cable. So let's peel this up slightly. Okay, get underneath there and just peel this up slightly. There we go. You want to kind of slowly move your way down as you peel it, just like this. There we go. Okay, so now we got this off, and here you can see this adhesive. This adhesive is kind of annoying. I don't know why they put it here, so I like to kind of just make it a little bit dirty so it doesn't stick too strong, because when you need to adjust the cable here, this thing actually causes problems. So you can put some tape over it or something, but usually I don't like to put tape on it because it makes it a little bit thicker. So we'll just do that, make it a little bit dirty. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove the fingerprint sensor. So to remove this is actually held down, or it's clipped in place. So what I have to do is I have to use one fingernail to hold this connector down, and then the other one to pull it to separate. So there you go, we separated the connector here. If you don't do that, it will actually rip out this piece of the cable there. Okay, so now we're going to heat this up, and then we're going to get the fingerprint sensor out. All right, so we're going to heat it up from the glass side here. That way all the heat is going onto through there to the other side, not heating the chip and everything itself. Okay, keep heating this. And then I'm going to use the needle to pry it up. It's pretty warm. Alright, let's see about pulling it up now. Alright, so I like to use the needle like this. I actually put a bend in it. So what I do is I get the needle underneath. Let's see if I can see. I'm going to have to move this connector out of the way. Okay. So let's hold that out of the way, please. There we go. Alright, so what I like to do is get the needle under there, and then I use the back of the curve to kind of slide it underneath the adhesive. That way there's less chance that the needle will damage the connector in the board. Alright, so just like that. Peel this up just like this. There we go. So now we got this all peeled up. We're going to push the fingerprint sensor through. Okay, it actually goes through the other side. There we go. And now we got the fingerprint sensor out. So this one is done. We don't need this old screen anymore. That's all garbage. Okay, now we're just going to do everything in reverse. Let's put the fingerprint sensor back in. So because this has the protective thing, I just peel this and hold it out of the way. Alright, then we take the home button, thread it through. Okay, make sure to get this piece up and out of the way, the connector. Okay, that goes underneath, just like that. Make sure the little hole of this piece lines up with the little plastic part of the phone screen case. Alright, then you can get your finger, make sure to push the home button, make sure to feel around to see that it's nice and flush, and then you can put this plastic stuff back to cover it. Alright, usually this connector is a little bit tricky. You usually have to like push it up that way a little bit to get this to reconnect to it. So I just push this down and then kind of, I don't know if you can see, but I'm pushing it closer to the screen. And then get this in and snap it into place. There we go. Alright, so we got that all lined up. Now we're going to put the metal plate back on. Let me zoom out so you can see better. Okay, you do want to hold this out of the way. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and put this metal plate on there. Line up the screw holes. Okay, so as you can see, this piece, see, it moves around a little bit, so to get it lined up, you want to, that's why I just dirty the adhesive to make it so it can move around. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put the screws in here. Alright. So we'll put the 6 screws back on the sides. Alright. Make sure to hold this down to get it lined up right. There we go. And usually I won't tighten it completely. I'll leave it a little loose so that way if I need to move the metal plate around, I can. Alright, second one there. Alright, third screw. Alright, I'm going to go over to the other side, put those 3 screws back in as well. Alright, get the other one. Okay, last one. Go. Once you get all 6 screws in, you can kind of hold them down and then just tighten everything. Okay. Again, we might need to adjust this around, so yep. Alright. So go ahead and tighten everything else in. Okay, there we go. So we got the screen plate in. Now we're going to peel off this blue piece. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put in the microphone and everything. So actually the speaker thing doesn't have adhesive, it's only over the microphone. So the way you line this up is you use the speaker connector here. It has these little holes in it, so you line it up with those 2 plastic dimples that are sticking out. Okay, so line that up. Alright, just like that. Once you get those 2 dimples lined up, you can push the part with the microphone in it down there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and line up these connectors here. You want to kind of hold the camera sensor out of the way. Alright, and we're going to get this all lined up. It can be a little bit tricky. Alright, usually the hardest part is getting these sensors up here lined up. You want to make sure that they go flush down. Okay. There we go. Once you get these flush in place, you want to kind of keep them there. Okay. And then grab the speaker. Okay. This. And slide that underneath the camera sensor. Okay. And then get that in place. Line it up. And try and get the speaker, the part of the speaker that sticks out to go into the slot. You can kind of move it around, and there we go. Alright, everything's in place. We'll get this metal bracket, put it back on top. Alright, just like that. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and put the screws back. We do need to switch to the PH0 screwdriver. Okay. And the tricky part is holding this together while you're getting the screws. Okay, just like that. Put that screw in. Alright, then get the second screw up here. There we go, tighten that up. this down. There we go. This one, tighten that down. Okay, this one. Last one for the camera sensors, tighten that down. Alright, now we're going to switch and replace the cover for the fingerprint sensor. So we're going to do the fingerprint screw last. We're going to do the ones on around the edges first, okay? Alright, get that screw in. Loosely fit it first. Right, other outer screw here. Loosely fit that. Last third screw. Alright, tighten that down. Alright, now we can tighten all these screws in place. Alright, once you get all of those, get the screw for the fingerprint sensor. Alright, and then again, put your finger underneath the fingerprint sensor. And then we'll tighten this screw in place. There we go. Alright, so now we got all of that reassembled. We're gonna reconnect everything onto the phone. Okay, battery goes last, so make sure you don't reconnect the battery. Okay, until we get everything else in place. So it's always easier to put this one first just because it bends in a weird way. So you kind of can use this to kind of rotate it and then guide this connector into place. There we go, snap that into place. We're going to go ahead and snap these two. Make sure you got them lined up right, because if you try and push this down and it's not lined up right, you can damage the board. Okay. So this is the tricky part. Uh-oh, I'm getting some phone calls. There we go. Snap that into place. Last one. Okay. Is that all lined up? Okay, make sure it's lined up. Snap that into place. Alright, so now that we got all the connectors connected, we can plug in the battery. Alright, and now we're going to power it up and make sure everything works. So you want to test the camera, the speakers, or the earpiece speaker, all these sensors. When you make a phone call, if you cover this, the screen should turn off. And yeah, and the touchscreen should work. So let's power this up. I'm not going to show that because it's a customer's phone. But yeah, you want to test all of those things. It looks like it's turning on, so we should be good. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put back all the stuff. Normally what you would do, again, you would test all the stuff after you reconnect it. I mean, I'm already turning it on because I'm pretty sure everything's good. So we're going to go ahead and start reconnecting everything. So we'll get this metal plate in. Okay. You want to be careful here not to drop anything on it. Alright, I'm going to switch back to the PH0 or JIS0 screwdriver. Okay, so it's working. I see it's showing that. Okay, so you want to, again, make sure to hold the screen. Don't let it fall over the other way. Alright, and oh, this is going to be tricky. I forgot these screws are the ones that don't want to stand up right. So I'm going to use some tweezers to place these screws in place if I can. I have to be careful here. This is tricky. Sorry, my head's going to be in the way. But let's move that. Good. Alright. hand's too shaky for this. All right, there we go. We got that one in. Next one. Apple and their tricky stuff. All right, let's get that one. Oops. Good thing it fell over there. All right. Got that screw in. All right, last screw. Put this down so it's easier. Screw here. Go from the side here. Go. Okay, tighten all of them down. Go. All right, and then we'll put in the other metal plate. Same thing, drop everything into place. All right, last few screws. I think my customer's outside asking if I'm done, but obviously I'm not, so let's see here. All right. Okay, so these screws are magnetic, they're fine. I don't know why Apple made just 3 of them for that assembly up there, not. Okay, loosely fit all these screws. Last one. It's tough to do with shaky hands. There we go. Tighten all of these in place. My customer's calling me. Alright, so we got all these screws in. Make sure it turns on. Yes. Alright. So now we got to slide the top part in here. You lift this, oops, lift the bottom up slightly, and then pull it slightly downwards. Slide the top in. Once you get the top in, you want to actually push the bottom sides in first. Okay, and then work your way up the sides. And you want to also check, make sure that you're not getting weird pressure stuff here. Oops, let me. Because if you didn't move that metal bar thing, that the adhesive was holding, if it's in the wrong place, it'll actually put pressure on the LCD. So you want to check that, and you can see it looks good. All right, so we're just going to put back the last 2 screws, and we're good to go. So we'll switch back to the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8 screwdriver, and we're going to just put back the last 2 screws. Okay, so I'll put this one. Like that. All right, and then the last one. My hand's so shaky for this. Okay, there we go. Tighten that up. And there we go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can also work on their own devices. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.